Hi, I'm Amanda Robinson from The Digital Gal, and you are listening to the Social Media Talks podcast with Alan Hennessy from compassmedia.ie.
Hi there, this is Alan here from the Social Media Talks podcast. And before we begin this episode, we'd like to give a big shout out to our sponsors and also our supporters. The Social Media Talks podcast is sponsored by ContentCal, creating a solution to simplify and speed up how teams can plan, collaborate on, approve, publish and analyze social media content in a familiar and intuitive calendar interface. In just 3 years, they have been trusted by over 10,000 businesses and agencies in 110 countries to deliver social media content at scale, and have recently won an award for the Content Management Tool of the Year. For more information on ContentCal, visit their website at contentcal.io. We would also like to remind you the Social Media Talks podcast is proudly supported by charityradio.ie, one of Ireland's leading online radio stations supporting charities across Ireland for free. And now, this week's episode.
Welcome to Social Media Talks podcasts, brought to you by compassmedia.ie.
Hello and thank you for joining me. This is the Social Media Talks podcast, brought to you by compassmedia.ie, episode number 67. I'm your host, Alan Hennessy, and this is the podcast to help business owners who want to learn more about social media marketing. And if you'd like to listen to any of our previous podcasts, you can do so by logging onto our website at compassmedia.ie/podcasts. You can also join our Facebook group by logging on to facebook.com/groups/social media talks. You can also join us on a Monday night for our Facebook Live on the Social Media Talks page with my co-host Trevor Lorkins, the Digital Alchemist, where we talk all about social media marketing, digital marketing and branding. So I do hope you can join us every Monday night for our Social Media Talks show, live on Facebook. And we're looking forward to today's show. Today I'm going to be joined by Amanda Robinson. And Amanda is the Digital Gal, and she is widely sought after in the digital marketing industry for her knowledge and experience as a Facebook ads expert and her skills in building messenger chatbots. She advises for Social Media Examiners membership group, the Social Media Marketing Society, with over 2,000 entrepreneurs and digital marketers. She is regularly featured as a guest on the Digital Marketing Podcast and speaks both on stages and in workshops, setting on everything from Facebook ads to analytics to messenger marketing chatbots. In a recent project, Amanda was the key player in the hashtag Road to Social, a social media road trip across the US Midwest, covering 3 back-to-back digital marketing conferences with over 1.9 million reach and over 20.3 million impressions on the Road to Social content. And Amanda's real flair for digital marketing comes from her hands-on experience with the extreme deep dives into data analytics, focusing on analytics, SEO, ads, targeting, split testing, and the ways to make more money from your marketing more efficiently. And in addition, Amanda's background in photography, graphic design, and her experience working for both small businesses and at a corporate level on a national scale gives her an edge on helping businesses get more measurable results. And today we're going to be talking to Amanda all about Facebook advertising and going beyond the boost as well. So if you're interested in learning more about Facebook ads, do stay tuned, because it's going to be a very interesting conversation. So without further ado, I think we will transition straight over to the interview with Amanda. Hi Amanda, how are you today? Thanks for joining us on the Social Media Talks podcast. I'm so looking forward to chatting with you here today. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on, Alan. I really appreciate it.
Super. Of course, we're going to be talking all about going beyond the boost and Facebook ads. This is going to be a really good conversation. Before we get stuck into our chosen topic, I just wanted to maybe give us a little bit of a brief background on yourself. I've given you a little intro at the start of the program, so if you just want to give us a little bit more detail about yourself.
Right. So I am Amanda Robinson. I am the digital gal, and I am basically a digital marketing geek. I am from Canada, and I travel all across Canada and the United States as a digital nomad. But my real flair is in digital marketing, Facebook advertising, Google Analytics, and making your marketing more measurable so that you can stretch your marketing dollars as efficiently as you possibly can.
I'm just looking. We were only talking there just before we came on air about your new website and your new branding. And it's just wanted to give you full compliments. It's absolutely fantastic, and very well designed and all that. So you really are the digital gal. I love that. It's fantastic.
Thank you. I decided to rebrand recently because I didn't want to get pigeonholed into any one area. I didn't want to get completely pigeonholed into just Facebook ads or just analytics. And when it comes to geeking out on technology, I mean, I am all about live streaming with live streaming tech and all sorts of tech geek gadgets. So when it comes down to it, the digital gal is a really good fit that encompasses all of my geeky and technology habits and allows me to connect with people on a level that isn't just pigeonholed into one area or another.
And it's fantastic because some of your live videos with all, as you say, when you say all about your tech geekiness, I have to admit, I do love it. I love when you start showing all these cameras and all these bits and pieces that you're coming and say, oh, look at this. And I'm going, wow, so it's great to see. And it's great to learn as well as that.
The real fun with that is that I basically live in a mobile world. I mean, I travel just in my car with my dog from place to place, and I move every 2 to 3 weeks. And all of that tech folds down, packs up, it goes into bags, and then I end up moving it to the next location and making myself a little pop-up office everywhere I go with all of my little tech pieces for live streaming. And it's really amazing the way that I've kind of been able to get a little system and a little habit in place with the volume of tech that I have trailing along with me.
Yeah, and you have traveled. I will say that you have traveled a lot. If you follow Amanda on social, you will see the amount of traveling that this lady has done, even in the last 6 to 8 months. It's just phenomenal. Yeah.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
So we've been actually able to tie her down because we've been trying to get Amanda here on the podcast for a good few weeks or a good few months at this stage, and it's just trying to arrange times. And we actually have we're here now, so it's great. It's great to have you.
I have Wi-Fi. Let's use it while we got it.
Yeah, I have strong Wi-Fi. I'm not going up us out. That's great. As I said, we're going to be talking today about going beyond the boost, and of course that is your new online program as well. So we want to delve in a little bit into that as well and find out more information about that. But I suppose, going beyond the boost, like on a personal level, I've always sort of said, oh, well, I like the boost is probably an easy way of getting a little bit more traction on your content. But I think, just listen to you and listen to some of the online streaming videos that you've done about this is that there really is so much more scope and so much more that you can do with Facebook advertising. So I suppose I'll hand it over to you and you can tell us more about that yourself.
Amazing. Okay, so this topic, what you probably can't see if you're listening to this right now, is the giant smile that I have stretching across my face when I get to talk about Facebook ads, especially when it comes to going beyond the boost. So going beyond the boost, this is that moment where I feel like I'm the man behind the curtain, where I get to pull the curtain back, and instead of you being disappointed with what you see on the other side, you get that excited squeal of, wow, there was so much here I didn't realize. So when we talk about going beyond the boost, that boost button on your Facebook ads, some people will say that that's not a good thing. Boosting posts is not a good thing. Well, in my opinion, boosting posts is what I call the gateway drug to get you started into Facebook advertising. So that's where you start. That's where you get the taste for Facebook ads and how they can work for you. It's sort of Facebook ads with training wheels is what I would call it. And that's absolutely fine. If you've been starting to dabble into Facebook advertising, clicking that boost button and putting some budget onto your posts and experimenting with what that does for getting your posts more reach and more results, fantastic. But when you've been doing that for a little while, well, it's time to take those training wheels off, and it's time to go behind the curtain and dive into Facebook ads using Facebook Ads Manager. And now if you are a newbie advertiser, that can be a little bit intimidating. That can be a little bit overwhelming. And so what I like to do with my clients and the people that I work with is I like to take that overwhelm, I like to take that off of your shoulders, and I like to walk you baby steps through everything in a way that makes good sense to you. So now, why do you want to go beyond the boost? Well, like I said, once you kind of pull back that curtain and see what's back there, there are so many more options available to you. Now, when you're doing the boost with training wheels, you only have a very a fine number of choices that you have to make. You're not being overwhelmed with choice. It's kind of a guided creation.
Yeah, it's very. I think it's very limited. It's there's only a certain amount that you can do with it. So I think
exactly.
Definitely using that actual boost is, as you say, is a good way to get into it and find out more, and then you'll start seeing the results. And that's, of course, like everything when we're in life, even when we see something working, we want more of it. So, yeah.
Exactly. So once you start going beyond that boost, you have way more choices when it comes to the objective that you're going to choose, way more options when it comes to the targeting that you're going to go after, and way more choices when it comes to the ad creative, the actual images, the videos that you can put into your ads. So when it comes to choosing your objective, I'm just going to break this down into three components. You have your objective, you have your targeting and budget, and then you have your ads themselves. So when it comes to the campaign where you're setting it up and choosing your objective, when you're creating it with the boost button, you don't have very many options. When you're creating it with Ads Manager, you have so many more options available to you on what objective you want that campaign or want that ad to achieve for you. And depending on which objective you choose, it's going to influence your ad costs. So by choosing the correct objective or choosing a better objective that may not be available to you when you're clicking that boost button, you can effectively bring your ad costs down lower. You can connect with your audience in a way that makes better sense by telling Facebook how you want that ad delivered, the reason you want that ad delivered, and what objective you want people to do. What action do you want them to take? Do you want them to click on a link to go to a website? Do you want them to fill out a lead form and give you their email address? Do you want them to watch a video? So Facebook will deliver those ads very differently. And when I say differently, to those people, you might have an ad that is being delivered for reach, where it's meant to just explode out through the audience that you've chosen and reach as many sets of eyeballs as possible. Well, that ad is going to perform very differently than another ad where you want people to add a purchase to their cart and check out, where you might not need to be blasting that to as many people as possible. You need to be blasting that to a very specific group of people with a higher frequency. So depending on what objective you choose when you're doing your Facebook ads, Facebook is going to optimize your ads to deliver in a particular way based on that objective. If you choose, I don't want to say the wrong objective, but if you choose an objective that may not be the best fit for your audience and for that ad type, then it's just going to bring your ad costs up. And that's why going beyond the boost, using the boost button, everything's kind of done for you, but it may not be the best choice for getting you the most results you could possibly be getting out of that post. But when you are moving into using Ads Manager, I don't want it to be overwhelming, but there are more choices for you. So getting a little bit of help and a little bit of training to understand what those choices mean, how they impact your ad costs, and what the right choice will be for you at that moment. That's where having a little bit of assistance can help. So that's one of three.
Gee,
then we move.
Even that, like, it's it's huge. Like when you think about, like. And I think on a personal level, I know when I started doing and like do a small bit of advertising, whatever, and I was doing it with the boost, and I was saying, yeah, this is good, and it's getting me a bit of action, and it's getting me a bit of reach and stuff like that. But then when you open up, and I'm coming from it from even from a listener's point of view, that when you open up the Facebook manager or your ads manager, And there's just so many options. You're going, where do I start? Because, do I want awareness? Do I want brand? Do I want to, reach? It's just like, which one is the right one to go to?
Let me give you a really good analogy for getting beyond the boost. This is a really good analogy, is that using the boost button means, imagine if you are driving a car and you have to look at a map and pick a route to get from A to B. Well, if you're in your small little community, in your small town, just going from work to home, home to work, that's a route that you're familiar with. You know how much gas money it's going to cost you. You're very familiar with it. You don't need a lot of help. That's what the boost button does for you. Now, using Ads Manager, where there are so many different choices, that's basically like opening up an entire city and an entire freeway, an entire set of little rural streets. There are so many different ways. There are so many different routes that you could choose to get from A to B. Now, the thing is, they're all going to get you from A to B. You're all going to arrive at the same destination, meaning you're putting an ad and you're reaching people. But are you getting there as quickly and efficiently as you can?
Yeah.
Are you getting there by taking the detour and wasting gas money, getting a flat tire, having to, stop for an overnight? I mean, there are so many areas that the cost can rack up based on those little minuscule choices that you're making as you're going through the Ads Manager platform. So in the end, what I want that to say to you is that you just have to set out. You might not have the exact mapped route. You might not know exactly how to get there the fastest and most efficient with your marketing budget, but it's about the journey, and you learn as you go. So you learn that you don't want to go down that route over there because there's too many potholes and it's going to cost you money. And if you jump on the highway, then it's going to get you there faster. So learning what that highway looks like for you in Facebook ads is going to be very different than what that highway looks like for me with my Facebook ads, because the difference is, if you're in e-commerce versus if you are in real estate, or if you're a brick and mortar mom and pop hardware store, your route on how you get from A to B is going to be very different, and the costs associated with it are going to be very different. But if you don't jump in and try, then all you're doing is going from home to work, work to home, home to work, work to home. And you're not branching out and expanding beyond that. You're only going to continue to reach those same people over and over. You're not going to increase your sphere of influence and increase your digital footprint to reach more people that can connect with you and your business to actually achieve the objective and the goal that you're looking for. So that's all part one.
And that's just the beginning.
That's just the beginning. So if you're ready, I'm willing to dive into targeting as part two.
Oh yes.
Okay.
Just on that note there, just the way you're talking about that, like I know, for instance, I've had clients who've come to me and says, I ran this ad and I ran it for brand awareness, and then I've also ran it for, I wanted to get people to the website, and I'm going, okay, but that's you're doing that wrong. And the reason why I'm saying you're not, well, not that you're doing it wrong, but it's just not. It's not connecting the dots. You're doing it to two different types of audiences here, and you need to be thinking of what your message is and stuff like that. So and I find that is probably one of the biggest, I suppose, queries that I would get when people come to me and ask me about Facebook advertising.
Right. So that would be what I would consider a lack of strategy in the approach. That's people who are advertising for the sake of advertising because they know they need to be out there, but not really understanding, well, then who are we targeting and with what? So when you have a little more of a clear picture of who you want to target and what action you want them to take, then it's easier to choose that path and choose those objectives and choose your target and choose your ads to match up to that customer journey or to make sense to that particular person. And there is a way of doing it. So moving into this part two with audiences, you have different phases of audiences. You have your cold audiences and you have your warm audiences. Cold audiences being people that don't know you, that, that's your opportunity to make your first impression. Yeah. So that's your opportunity to show up on scene and give that big smile and say, hi, I am Amanda Robinson, the digital gal, and this is why you need to know me. But that's what your Facebook ads can do. They can introduce you. They don't necessarily, on our first introduction, I don't need to hold out my hand and shake your hand and say, hey, can you buy my Facebook ads training course? I'm the digital gal. You should just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
With multiple impressions and hitting you over the head. You don't even know me. So why would I lead out with an ad that goes straight into, hi, you don't know me, you should buy from me, and I'm going to show this to you 1,000 times in a row to make you sick of me before you even get to know me.
Exactly.
So that's where the difference comes in with warm and cold audiences. Cold audiences don't know you. They need an introduction to you. And that introduction should come along with why they need to know you, in the sense of, it's not just, hey, look at me, I'm a billboard, look at me. It is, how are you helping them? How are you giving them information that is either benefiting them, entertaining them, or making their world better? So when you make that first impression, it has to serve the people you're serving it to. It has to be not about you. It has to be about them. And that's a cold audience. And cold audiences, an example of that are if you're putting an audience together that's targeting different geographic areas, or targeting people's behaviors, their online purchasing behaviors, or targeting their interests, or targeting them with their demographics. That's an example of creating a cold audience. And then you get warm audiences. And warm audiences are people who have some familiarity with you. They've been exposed to you in one way or another. And that could include people who have watched any of your videos on your Facebook page. It can include people who have engaged with those posts, whether they've liked, commented, shared. And it can also involve people who have been on your website. And that's using your Facebook tracking pixel. And if you do not have your Facebook pixel installed on your website, stop what you're doing. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Go and get that pixel installed on your website. Even if you don't plan on doing Facebook ads right now, even if you don't know what you're doing, go get that pixel installed on your website so it's collecting data right now. So that when you're ready to use it, you've got it.
Yeah, it's so important. I don't know the amount of people that have said to me, what's a Facebook? And I go, and when you explain it to them, then they go, oh, I need to get that on. And like that is if you don't maintain your own website, I'm sure, if you get onto your web designer, your web developer, whoever it may be, just tell them, look, to put the Facebook pixel on the website, they can do it within seconds. But it's so important to have that data that's just so there. Important. Oh, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Even if, like I said, even if you don't know what you're doing with it right now, if you have a Facebook page, a business page, and you have a Facebook ad account, as all of us do when we register our Facebook profile, then you can generate a pixel and you can go and put it on your website. Even if you don't have a website and say you're using landing pages, you don't own a website, but you're using different landing pages. A lot of landing page services have an area that you can install that pixel as well. So that what you're trying to do is you're trying to capture the attention span, capture the sets of eyeballs that are actually landing on that website so that you can remarket to them. And that is your warm audience. And I would say that is a much warmer audience than, say, people who have watched a few seconds or more of one of your videos. People who have actually visited your website are going to be a warmer audience. So when it comes to targeting these audiences, you would serve very different content to a cold audience versus the content that you would serve to a warm audience. And you certainly wouldn't go right out of the gate asking for a sale to a cold audience. So when it comes to a lot of new advertisers and they don't know where to start or how to strategize what they should be showing, it just needs to be broken down into those real world concepts of, if you were to introduce yourself at a party, how would you make that first impression and how would you let people know what you do? And then after they've met you at the party and they bump into you at the grocery store, how can you further that conversation? And then when it comes down to it, how do you get them onto your either email list or into your sales cycle so that you can properly sell to them, properly support them with what you do? So that's a way of just looking at it. So not looking at the data and the overwhelm of how do I make an audience. Look at it from a real world perspective of how can I help this customer journey? And then when it comes to your advertising and your audiences, it's very helpful when you're going beyond the boost and you're actually in Ads Manager, you can use your menus navigating through there to go to your audiences and create different audiences. And creating those different audiences and just having them sort of waiting ready for you to start advertising to is helpful. So creating a website visitor audience, creating a video view audience. And just a quick little tip, if you're creating an audience of people who have watched any of your videos, you have to manually go and add those videos from your page onto that audience, and then you have to manually update it.
Right. So
they will not update themselves. You have to keep manually updating that one particular audience. Go in and create some saved audiences, going after a geographical area or going after people's demographics or behaviors, and experiment with that regard of audiences. So there are, when you open the box, when you just open your Facebook
just so
ad
many
account
options
out of the box, you have the potential to create, I'd say, 10 to 12 different audiences right out of the gate before you even start advertising if you wanted to. You don't have to make it complicated, but there are lots of different audiences that you could be targeting that are in different phases of the warm versus cold audiences. that can work to your benefit. So that is part 2.
Wow. And like even talking about that there, where you're talking about the different audiences and stuff like that, I find that, you know, like I know when we're doing anything, I will always sort of break it down and say, right, okay, what are we going for? How are we going for? Who would it, you know, and do that research before you even put, you know, as I like to say, a digital pen to paper type of thing, because that's exactly what you need to do. Is you have to have a strategy. You have to understand what the audience is and who they are and what you want to attract and what is the content that you're going to use as well. And I know you're going to talk about that now, but the other thing that I found is that even when I have done audiences out and I've said, right, okay, I'm going to go for this demographic, the, you know, small business owners or medium-sized business, blah, 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 whatever it may be. And I've ran a really cheap ad just to see if there is sort of any work on that. Now, maybe I'm overstepping here, but you're probably going to talk about this, but I found that by doing that, I could say, right, well, that doesn't work, that audience. I need to tweak that. And when you start tweaking the audiences, I think then you start to get a lot more results because you become a lot more focused in on who the actual people are. And you'll start to see if there is sort of any type of increase in the visibility of the ad as well.
This is music to my ears, what you are saying right now. So just to walk you through the journey. So I do a Facebook ads training and I break it into 4 pieces. One is how you create your ads, like the actual creation of the ads themselves in Ads Manager. 2 is going over the audiences and targeting. 3, we go over budgeting and strategy. And then 4, we go over actually reading all of your reporting, how to read that reporting and look at the analytics of what's coming back in. And then from there, you can tweak and make better choices for the future campaigns that you're making to improve your ads and make them better. And what you were saying is a really important point of managing those expectations, especially for newbies or people who are new at this, who are moving beyond the boost, is that you need to start spending money on Facebook ads to set yourself a baseline of data so that you have your own benchmark to improve off of. So when you first start pouring ad dollars into marketing your advertising on Facebook, it's just for the sole purpose of getting data. And that data can help you understand how individual audiences are performing for you. Because when you first start, you are kind of running blind. You don't know. You have a lot of assumptions, and you as a business owner or as somebody a stakeholder in that business, you having a better understanding of your customers, your clients, your customer journey. When you first start advertising and building those audiences, you are making a lot of assumptions, and you have to take your gut as well as your knowledge of the industry, your knowledge of your customer base, and you have to apply that into creating these audiences kind of from scratch. And I do show you in our week 2 of that training, I show you how to use some audience analytics tools to do some research. Research to try and find out, okay, well, who, even though I don't know exactly how this audience is going to perform, who is most likely to be my ideal target audience? So I help you build that. And then from there, you run some ads. You got to test it. So you run some ad dollars through it, testing those audiences. And then the reporting, once you analyze that reporting after, it just jumps off the page. It becomes very clear to you how that audience responded compared to a different audience that you created, which audiences in your roster of audiences are higher quality for you, which ones are performing better for you. And then from those audiences, once you understand, okay, how are those audiences performing, then we dig even deeper and start looking at, okay, well, what about ad placement? Where are we placing that? Is it on Instagram? Is it Facebook? Is it in the audience network? Is it in Messenger? And then we tweak it even further. Okay, well, what about this delivering to this country versus that country, this gender versus that gender? So you can really start to dig deep down into the layers of that reporting to start optimizing your own ads so that when you create a new campaign in the future, you can automatically have a better understanding of what audience you want to target out of the audience that you've built, because you know how well they're performing. And then you can start to make out of those hundreds and hundreds of choices that you have in the Ads Manager journey. It's like that map, right? Where you're taking that route from A to B, and you could go in any zigzag different direction. Some of them are going to get you there faster. Some of them are going to get you there slower and cost you more money. Well, the more you do this, the more you run this data, run ads through your account and test these different audiences, the more you're building yourself your own roadmap that lets you know, okay, I know what works. I know what audience to choose. I know what direction we're going to go. I know what placement we're going to use. I know what age bracket I'm going after. And then you start to get into where you can be testing your ad creative.
Yeah.
So where you're testing the actual ads themselves. Do I want to do a video ad? Do I want to do a link ad, a carousel ad, an instant experience ad? There are so many different options for you.
That's where, as you say, that's where the gold becomes. It really becomes, And, I think as well as that, I think the more you do that type of, and I suppose if you understand it at the start and you get it, you start learning it and you understand it and you understand the process of it, it becomes just another part of what you do and you become very, very efficient at it. And like I've known a lot of businesses that have gone and they've gone down that route of, all right, we're doing this Facebook ad and I want to get 100,000 people to the website, or I want to get 100,000 likes on this page. And I'm going, with what you're doing, you're not doing it right. You're not even close to where you're going to be. Whereas there's other companies that I've seen and they've done just phenomenal returns. There's just been phenomenal impact with what they've done with the advertising, because I think they stopped. And like that, going through someone like yourselves your training, that you sort of see it and you understand it. Because once you understand anything, it becomes a lot more easier to control and to implement. Exactly.
So it's one of those things where if you don't start doing it now, you won't start learning how to do it. You got to start somewhere. So it's just getting the confidence. Then that's really how I frame the way that I teach, is that I'm teaching you the confidence to be able to make those choices on your own and know that the choices that you're making aren't going to be a fatal mistake for you, but just getting started and knowing how to sort of navigate those choices as best you can and build up that confidence so that you can go ahead and experiment with confidence that you're not going to be wasting your marketing budget.
And like you're talking there about the ads, and like, I know you delve a lot into sort of the campaigns and then also the different ad sets and stuff like that, because I know that's a key important factor as well. That, I think some people make that mistake of just saying, okay, well, I'm going to run a Facebook ad, and they go, I'm running one ad. Whereas you can say, like, here's the campaign that you're going to run, and you could have a multitude of ads within that campaign as well.
Exactly. And that's where, just comparing this again to the boost button versus creating ads via Ads Manager, the boost button creates one campaign with one ad set with one ad. When you're creating a campaign with Facebook Ads Manager, you can have your one campaign, you can have several ad sets, which means you can have several different targeting and budget. And then you can have several different ads living within each of those ad sets. So think of it like a giant flow chart or a giant like tree branch. So it branches off into so many options, and you can duplicate that whole thing, copy it into the same campaign. So you can have an endless, I don't want to say endless number of ads. You could say, for example, you had 10 different ads living under one ad set. And you copied that 3 or 4 times into that one campaign, and you're testing a bazillion factors. I don't recommend you do that right out of the gate.
No.
I recommend that you focus on one thing at a time. So if you're going to try and test something, test audiences. Start there. Okay, so test your audiences with one single ad. And then once you get your audiences dialed in, you have a better understanding of how those are performing, then start diversifying the ads that you're serving to those audiences and start testing different types of ads. And there's all sorts of options, including dynamic creative. So you can program in, say you want to have 5 different images that can be mixed and matched with 5 different headlines or different descriptions. You can allow Facebook to do some of that heavy lifting in delivering those ads dynamically to find the winning ad combination that will get you further results with your budget.
And I think there's like we look at Facebook and we look at the way it has gone over, I suppose, since last year, since last March or so, when that Armageddon, and it was literally changed the way everyone does it. So, and I think a lot of people have lost confidence in what Facebook can do with regards to their business, and they're saying, "Oh, well, I'm not getting as much reach and stuff like that." And as I said it, even I suppose the middle of last year and I was saying it like Facebook are a business. They're there to make money as much as, and you've had that free ride for so long that's been, oh yeah, well, this is great, we can post our content. Whereas now they're saying, no, if you want to play, you got to pay type of thing. So it's about by doing all right. By them saying that, you have to start becoming very smart and very shrewd in what you do. So if the more information that you can gather and the more understanding of how this pay to play system, for want of a better word, is going to pan out, you can get very slick with it, and you can get very, very focused in what you're doing.
Now, I did want to throw in one last little tip here when it comes to making your budget most efficient, is that as much as, yes, it is migrating into a pay-to-play environment, and that's very important that, yes, you do set aside some budget and you do get into the pay-to-play game. I don't want you to neglect or replace your organic tactics. And what I mean by that is you still need to have a content strategy. You still need to be putting out and producing content that lives organically on your Facebook page, or putting it out organically into your sphere of influence. And what you need to be paying attention to and looking out for is that as you're posting that content out, which pieces are standing out, which pieces are actually getting momentum, what I call organic momentum. And then when it comes to choosing where you're going to put that budget, I would suggest you put that budget on the pieces that are already performing really well. So don't be taking your budget and saying, well, these little posts over here that were really important to us, we thought they were important, they're not performing. So why don't we just help them along by going to put budget on them?
Just about to say that.
That's not the strategy that I would recommend. The strategy I recommend is adding fuel to the fire of the posts that are already performing. So if something is performing really, really well organically, reaching a lot of people, getting good engagement in comparison to your other posts, then that's an opportunity for you to take budget and add more budget to it and really fuel that fire. And I use this analogy a lot. If you're trying to add budget on a post that is not performing, that's adding fuel to a fire that's already extinguished. It's not going to do anything except for waste the fuel.
Yeah.
So adding fuel to that fire on the posts that are already performing for you is going to help you increase your reach, and it's going to help you maintain those ad costs, keeping those ad costs low by giving relevant content out to your network and reaching the right people that make the most sense for your business.
And I think you're right, and you're dead right in saying that is you should be, if you are focusing on, if you have got organic content that's going out on a regular basis, okay, watch it and, keep your eye on it and measure it. And I've, as I always say, you cannot manage what you cannot measure type of thing. And it's so important to be able to just say, right, okay, guys, here it is. These posts are working. So there's obviously something in this. And even if you're not going to particularly just add a little bit spend to that particular post, but you can understand that the content there that you're pushing out, that content is working. So that's where maybe the ad spend, and you create a new piece of content, or you create a new ad, or whatever it may be, but in the same idea as the one that's doing well, as opposed to the one that is not performing for you.
Exactly. If you have post after post after post that you're putting out there that is just flopping, you need to stop and discontinue doing that practice, because it's organically hurting you. It is getting to the point where Facebook is looking at the content you're putting out, it's sampling it out to a portion of your audience, and if they are not engaging, then your organic posts are basically getting ranked further down in the newsfeed and not even reaching the people who have already put their hand up to say, I like your page. And that is what I'm calling it's like Facebook algorithm purgatory, and it's just very hard to dig your way back out of it. And the only way to dig out of it is by continuing to produce better content, and content that really is hitting the mark and resonating with people. So it's kind of like a cycle. If you get lost in the cycle of producing poor content and people are not engaging, Facebook is not going to serve it to people, so that when you do produce good content, Facebook isn't even serving it to people anyway. Yeah. So it's one of those things. It's a dangerous little hole to get yourself stuck into. So I really recommend you paying attention to your insights, paying attention to how each individual post is performing. Look at it on a regular basis. If you find that you are putting posts out on a regular basis that consistently are not performing, discontinue that type of content, change your content strategy, change course, and continue to try and improve yourself.
It is, and I have to admit, I'm just sitting here listening to you, and I have to admit, this is it was a great podcast. And the reason I say that is one, I didn't have to hardly speak, and two, it was just fantastic just to hear, I can't. If we record this on Zoom, guys, if you could actually see Amanda when she's talking about this, the passion in her face and her voice and everything, you can see it. It's phenomenal. And it really is. It's a fantastic it's really good that you come on, because like, you know, it helps so many people in so many different levels that are, you know, that are, I suppose some may like it, some may sort of say, okay, I know a little bit about it, but it's given a lot more clarity. It really is. And I thank you so much for coming on and explaining it so easily as well. That's the other part of it that I loved. The other thing that I do at the end of every show, and I know I could sit here and probably talk to you for another hour about all this, because I'm sure there's so much more we could talk about. But at the end of every podcast, I usually ask my guest one question, and it's nothing related to what we're talking about. If you had the chance to invite someone to dinner, whether it be past or present, who would it be and why?
I'd probably invite a data scientist to dinner. Somebody that I could geek out with at a deeper level that just makes my head spin. That would be amazing.
Wow, brilliant stuff. Well, I'm sure you'd enjoy that, sitting back and enjoying that. Amanda, it's just been an absolute pleasure to talk to you. How can people reach out to you if they want to find out, if they want to get in contact with you?
The best way to find me right now is on Facebook with my Facebook page, The Digital Gal. And I respond best to Facebook Messenger. So if you want to send me a Facebook message, that's the best way to get a hold of me. Otherwise, you can find me at thedigitalgal.com. And if you are interested in learning more about Facebook advertising, I do have a 4-week training program on right now where you can learn Facebook ads, from creating those ads to targeting to strategy, budgeting, optimizing, and reporting. So if that's of any interest to you, definitely check out thedigitalgal.com.
Very good. And we will put, of course, we'll put all that information up in the show notes. And definitely, guys, if you are looking to up your game with Facebook advertising, and as Amanda says, going beyond the boost, it is definitely worth checking out. I know I'm definitely going to be joining that in the next week or two. I'm going to jump in and definitely update my skills on Facebook advertising as well. Amanda, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, and thanks so much for coming on the podcast. We wish you continued success in the future. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Alan. I really appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So my thanks to Amanda for coming on the podcast today and sharing with us some fantastic tips and insights on how we can increase our Facebook advertising marketing, and how we can gain a lot more results as well from it. And if you'd like to find out more information about Amanda, you can log on to our website at thedigitalgal.com, and you can also find out all the information about her Facebook ads course, Going Beyond the Boost. Learn Facebook ads skills in 4 weeks. Get the confidence to create better Facebook ads, improve your audience targeting, and understands the results so that you can get the most out of your budget. And as usual, you can also find Amanda on all of the usual social networks, from Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn as well. All you have to do is search for The Digital Gal, or on LinkedIn, she is known as Amanda Robinson. So as I said, once again, thanks to Amanda for coming on the program today and sharing with us some fantastic tips. And if you'd like to listen to any of our previous podcasts, you can log on to our website at compassmedia.ie/podcasts. And all of the podcasts are also available on Mixcloud, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And if you are on Apple Podcasts, we would be thrilled if you would leave us a review and some feedback on our podcasts. And you can also subscribe to the Social Media Talks podcast there, so you never miss an episode as well. And if you'd like the show notes for this episode or for any of the previous episodes, you can log on to our website at compassmedia.ie/SM Talks. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please do get in contact with us. All you have to do is email us at smtalks@compassmedia.ie, and we will get in contact with you. And if you want to find out more about the services that Compass Media provide, from social media marketing, training, and podcast services, you can visit our website for full details. If you'd like to reach out and connect with me across the social media platforms, please do so. I would be delighted to chat with you. And you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and also on LinkedIn as well. And Facebook, I suppose, yes. That's about my lot for today. Until next time I see you, have a great week. I shall talk to you soon. And I've been Alan Hennessy from Compass Media for the Social Media Talks podcast. So until next week at the same time, as I always say, be social. Until next time, bye-bye.
Social Media Talks podcast is a production from compassmedia.ie.